You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, General Hospital fans, we have got a big leak about something that happens to Drew Cain. Looks like he may be attacked and stabbed, and Alexis Davis may be the one framed for the crime, even though she didn't do the deed. She's doing other crimes, but I doubt she'll be caught for those. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt. We're going to talk about how and why Alexis may be framed for trying to kill Drew when there are many other suspects in any attack that would happen to him, including enemies, exes, and more. Please hit that subscribe button if you aren't already following us. It'll be very interesting if Alexis does wind up framed, considering that Rick is in her basement, and if the cops come looking for evidence, that could get awkward fast. Let's talk about this leak, though. So right now, Curtis would gleefully kill Drew over what he has done to his Aunt Stella after offering Curtis a truce. Now poor Stella's been arrested, and of course Drew only targeted her to hurt Curtis, and it didn't take long for him to realize, okay, Drew's behind this. So Curtis is absolutely livid. He's determined to make Drew pay and to get Stella out of this mess. So Curtis obviously would be on the list of suspects. And there's been chatter for a while that Drew might be the victim in a whodunit, but it seems like it won't be a whodunit murder, but maybe a whodunit stabbing attack. And again, this is what the leak says. So it's not a confirmed spoiler, but it is a leak. So, and it's from a reliable leaker. So if the perpetrator sneaks up on Drew and does it from behind, he may have no idea who came for him. Also, of course, on the suspect list is Michael, because not too long ago, Drew goaded Michael into punching him in the middle of the Metro Court to get leverage against Sonny and Michael. And although DA Justine Turner didn't press charges on Michael, she knows all about this happening and that it did actually happen. So obviously, Sonny and Michael would be suspects in any further attacks on Drew. We've also got Nina Reeves as a top suspect because she just caused that scene at the Port Charles Grill. Remember, she caught Drew and Willow together, and Nina went berserk. And after Willow left and in earshot of other people, Nina threatened to kill Drew. And he even asked if it was a threat and said he could have Nina arrested. So keeping count of the suspects, we've got Curtis, Michael, Sonny, and Nina. But there's a big one yet to be added to the mix, and that is Alexis, because Drew just slapped her, Molly, and Kristina, all three with restraining orders saying they had to stay away from Scout. So the Davis girls are angry. The thing is, I don't think any of these 5 suspects are going to be the ones that attack Drew if the leak is true and he is stabbed, because there's somebody else in the mix painting a target on him, and that's Jen's Sidwell. If you remember, Drew showed up at Spoon Island the other day and he was pushing Sidwell about taking down Sonny, and then he told Sidwell told Marco that they need to deal with Drew, which made it sound like in a dirt nap permanent sort of way. Problem is, Marco doesn't see eye to eye with his dad on the Sonny and Drew issue, because when Marco came into the grill and saw Nina threatening Drew, Marco saw an opportunity and he jumped into action. So, he's been pushing Sidwell to release the judge bribe info because he wants to take Sonny down. He told Marco they had to wait till the time was right to release the info to maximize the impact on Sonny, but Marco's had enough. Bottom line, he blames Sonny for his mom Natalia's death. So it looks like Marco is going to blab to Drew that there is evidence against Sonny. And I think Marco is going to tell Drew the info about the judge being bribed, which would be golden for Drew, because then he's going to go over and see Michael and confront him about the judge being bribed by Sonny, and something like if he doesn't give Willow custody of the kids, Drew's going to take it public. And Sonny didn't do this, but Sidwell laid his groundwork very well. So it definitely makes him look culpable. So if Sonny's exposed, then Michael could lose all custody of his kids for judicial tampering. And it gets even messier from there because Marco is going to tell Sidwell what he did and then he told Drew, and his dad's going to blow up at Marco because Sidwell had a plan and his son was too impatient to let it play out. So after the public showdowns with Alexis and Nina at the grill and with Michael at the Metrocourt restaurant, then we've got Drew supposedly attacked. And again, this is a leak, not a spoiler. Everybody knows that Curtis and Sonny would also like to see Drew dead, but the perpetrator is not an enemy of Drew's, but an ally. And the evidence that's found should frame one person in particular, according to this reliable leaker. So Danny and Rocco are at the pier later this week, and they see a body in the water, and it could be Drew. He may be dead or alive, but just bleeding. So what we've got is lots of suspects, but the ally that did this to him is very likely Sidwell. Of course, he's not one to get his hands dirty personally. So Marco's dad may use a minion to attack and stab Drew, but the question is why? For a couple of reasons. Sidwell doesn't want the info out yet about the judge bribery, so he may want to stop Drew before he tells anybody else about it. Also, Sidwell is very annoyed that Drew is pushing him to take down Sonny when Sidwell's not ready for that move yet. And if you remember, when Sidwell first moved into Windermere, he invited Alexis over to Spoon Island and he handed her that Cassadine dagger. If you remember, it belonged to Helena Cassadine, who used it to slit the throat of Kristen Bergman, the opera singer who was Alexis's mother. Helena actually murdered Alexis's mom right in front of her. And then when Helena died, she left the dagger to Alexis in her will, and she threw it into the harbor, but it wound up back at Windermere, and Sidwell handed it to her, and Alexis handled the dagger, and then she gave it back, telling Sidwell she didn't want it. Now, that was back in March of this year, mind you. 5 months ago, the writers laid the foundation for this twisted tale. So after Alexis left, Sidwell picked up the dagger very carefully using a napkin, so only Alexis's fingerprints would be on it. So with Drew turning up with stabby injuries, according to our leaker, I bet that dagger with Alexis's prints on it is found, and that sets her up for the attack on Drew, whether he lives or dies. The leaker says Drew should live, but we all know the fans are going to hope that he dies. No matter Drew's fate, though, Sidwell had to put this drastic plan into motion because Marco lost patience and spilled info to Drew on the judge being bribed in Willow's custody case. Now, if Drew survives and the stabbing was from behind, he may have no idea who did it. But if he's asked, would Alexis do this? I'm sure Drew would agree, yeah, she would probably stab me in the back. She's killed a couple of people before, and we all know Alexis hates him and made public threats against him. So it definitely looks like General Hospital could be setting up a whodunit with Drew, but maybe he survived rather than being murdered. And the dagger with Alexis's prints on it may be found, but let's be clear, the cops may also be looking at Sonny and Michael and Nina and Curtis as possible suspects. Even if Drew survives this alleged attack, it still would be an attempted murder charge. Now, I would like to think the writers would just go ahead and kill off Drew. That would be great, but I doubt it because Frank Valentini doesn't let us have nice things. He only tends to kill off characters that we actually like. Plus, the leaker said that they believe Drew will survive this attack. But it's going to be a fun week indeed, with Rick tied to a gurney with a ball gag in his mouth and Drew stabbed and tossed in the water like shark chum if the leak works out. And just to be clear, again, not a spoiler, a leak, still not confirmed, but signs are lining up that it is going to go this way, and I can't wait for it.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.